Hello colleagues, and welcome to another explainer video where this time I'm delighted to be joined by Holly Hare-Scott, who is Manager of Intelligent Automation with Foundry 4, soon to be TPX Impact, and she's going to be talking about all things intelligent automation so that we've got a good understanding of where this can be used within social housing as well. So welcome along, Holly.
Hello, thank you very much. Very pleased to be here.
That's great. So obviously you've been leading on our work within intelligent automation within our Ian network. So for those people who are just joining the network straight off this year, could you just explain to us what exactly is intelligent automation?
Really good question, Ian. So intelligent automation or robotic process automation, RPA, is a tool that's actually been around for quite a while now. It originally started in the finance industry, sort of late 90s, early 2000s. And it was effectively a tool that could copy and paste at speed. So taking data from one desktop over to another as they were transferring data between old green screen systems and obviously the new up-to-date ERP web-based systems that we are now more familiar with. I think the best analogy I can use for RPA in those instances, and for those that are familiar with Excel, is it was almost macros on steroids is the best example I can give of it. So it was all about taking data from one place and putting it over to another. Now, as with all technology, this has advanced and RPA has evolved over a period of time. So whereas when it was first originally formed, it was very much a piece of technology that could support human actions. So in exactly the same way that I'd take a piece of data over here and put it over there, the bot could simulate that. We now have increased technology capabilities through the use of things such as machine learning, through the use of semantics. So where we are with the technology that is being placed today and branded as RPA is something that can actually mimic human actions. So it can work its way through a particular workflow in a similar way to a human being would be. Now, RPA, we have rebranded as intelligent automation as we kind of move into the next phase of its evolution. And this is really where we start to scope out some of our future projects and some of the pieces that we're working on at the moment. So now we have involvements of natural language processing, we have the machine learning, the semantics, etc., as we've already said in there. And what the intelligent automation can actually do is start to augment human intelligence as well. So not only can it work through a workflow, but it can actually start to triage pieces of data as well. It can work around decision making. It can still mimic a human being, so it can log into a particular legacy system. That could be with two-factor authentication, or it could be with, sort of a smart card. And it can pick up pieces of work that it can then start to run with from a full end-to-end process, rather than being a proportion of a process, which is where we sort of started beginning of the 90s. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an overview and a timeline of what exactly intelligent automation is today.
And you've explained it very well how it actually works. Could you give us some sort of, real world sort of case studies or examples that you've been sort of working on so you can bring that to life for us?
Absolutely. So within Foundry 4, we work right the way across the public sector, and certainly housing is one of those sectors that we've been heavily involved in. RPA, intelligent automation, is very heavily utilised across a number of different departments, specifically for working with any process that is particularly manual heavy, any process that has sort of a large degree of compliance that sits behind it as well, that needs a high level of accuracy. Also for working with particular processes that have very much kind of peaks and troughs in them. So if you have a surge in a particular process that you're throwing a lot of man hours at, perhaps you need to increase your staff, you could really start to use the RPA to kind of take the burden of those particular processes. But it's also there to drive efficiencies. I think there's a lot of stigma with RPA that it's actually there to, replace human beings. That's categorically not the case. And this is something that we're working really hard with the market to understand, that it's actually about making your human beings more efficient, about really driving those particular efficiencies. And that can be in a number of different ways. So your kind of really obvious candidates for RPA and intelligent automation are your back office processes. So that's perhaps things that you could do within finance. Invoicing is one that really kind of stands out, specifically in housing, if you think of the amount of invoices that you have around council tax, etc. It's also very relevant within back office processes such as HR for onboarding individuals, for monitoring IR35, for monitoring contractors as well. But don't just think of it as sort of an in-house back office tool. Intelligent automation is also really important to helping affect your customer journey. And we're working on a number of projects to improve that front end piece. So that could be anything from information gathering for particular individuals. It could then start to having a look at monitoring specific processes, such as repairs. We can start to predict when repairs might need to be had. So again, it's all about improving the way that you work with your particular customers. It's about future proofing as well. So those are just some ideas within housing. We also do a phenomenal amount within central government. We do a lot within local government as well. And obviously you can see that there are obvious ties between local government and within housing as well. So there's a number of different kind of data trails that we're starting to work to kind of tie those two divisions together, which I think are crucial. We also do a phenomenal amount within health as well, really improving a lot of the pathways, both for patients and actually for clinicians as well. So that should give you a flavour of some of the work that we've done and continue to do.
So for any organization who is looking to sort of automate some of its more complex repetitive tasks, simple tasks more effectively, how easy is it for an organization to get a model or a case of intelligent automation actually up and running, and what do they need to have ready for you to come in and do that?
That's a really good question. And I think, as with all technology projects, you have to have a really good foundation to actually make them to be successful from the front end. And certainly this is where our expertise can really help a number of organizations do that. So I think first off, there has to be an understanding of what the end goal is for a particular organization. Are you looking to do this as a sort of a wider transformation project, or are you looking to do it for a specific targeted reason? So that could be around, sort of SLAs, it could be around KPIs, for example, for a particular division. What I would say is never consider using intelligent automation or RPA as really kind of a band-aid over an already broken process. It really is there to be used to improve upon your business as usual process. It really is there to be used as an innovative tool as well, so you can start to future-proof your organization. So there does need to be some particular strategy and thought process that goes on behind it. It's not something you can just sort of walk into, plug it in and expect it to transform. What we can do is work with particular individuals that are at the early stage of their understanding with automation and their sort of first steps into automation. And I will say, certainly within the housing sector, over 90% of the organizations that we have introduced to intelligent automation that are now running the processes didn't have any internal capability or any internal understanding of what automation could do for their company until they started to talk to us about their desires and their wishes for transforming specific processes. Where we can help is we will run specific workshops, actually reviewing the processes that you would like to understand if they are a good candidate for automation. We can then produce a roadmap of what is the cost to automate, what do your sort of stats and ROI figures look like? Does it make sense to actually automate this process for the business? And then obviously you can take all of that data away and build a business case. What I would say is don't just look at it as just one particular process. You need to look at it as something that can evolve through the organization. And what we can do is actually help you with the internal comms through your organization, so people do get a better understanding of what is achievable, what can then start to be recognized as potential automation candidates, and certainly what that particular backlog can start to look like as well.
And one of the things that I think is interesting about is the speed at which you can actually get some of these services up and running. Have you got some examples where, how long would it take for you from being commissioned to actually getting the full project up and running on site?
Certainly. I think one of the reasons that make intelligent automation so appealing to a lot of organizations is the speed with which you can do it. I mean, we are a very agile organization by the nature of the way that we work. And obviously we can go into more details with each of you individually as to what that actually encapsulates. But certainly in terms of a particular process, our average build time to automate a process end to end is between 8 and 12 weeks. Don't definitively hold me to that, because obviously it does depend on the process, but we can scale things up really quickly and we can do it at pace. And the way that we can actually we can do that is because we have industry specialists that understand the processes within your organization. They understand the specific service design that lays over the top of it, and obviously the nature with which we can then build them. And we build them alongside our clients as well. So we're consistently working with the subject matter experts within the organization to fully understand what this process should look like. So it is a continuous improvement as we're building that out.
And one of the areas that you've touched on there is having a good foundation. Presumably that means that you've got good quality data and access to that data. What do you sort of require as a bare minimum to start an intelligent automation sort of process?
I mean, obviously, at the moment, everyone's very aware data is king. I think I said earlier on, there is no point in trying to automate a process that is already broken, or a process that's in essence isn't how it should be working, and expecting automation to be laid over the top of it and for it to just your problem to be solved. That's not the nature of this. What we can actually help companies do is to review their end-to-end process, and it could well be that actually they just need to change that process, and we can advise them on that, and automation might be better improved on another particular end-to-end process, for example. Yes, you will need to understand your process. You should have subject matter experts that are doing that currently within your organization that can assist with it. You do need to have an understanding of what technologies are involved within your particular end-to-end process. Would we have access to them? Because we might need to link up from APIs. If we need to extract data from them, then obviously we need to be able to do that as well. But more importantly, we actually need an understanding from the business that this is something that they are looking to do and something they are looking to achieve. So therefore, we need the support, and obviously we need the sponsors within the organization to assist us to help them to actually implement the automation.
Well, that's brilliant, that, Holly. Thank you very much for sort of giving us that whistle-stop explainer of what intelligent automation is and how it works and where it can work within social housing. So hopefully a lot of DIN members will be able to enjoy that with the work you're going to be doing with us over the remainder of the year. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.